I walked into a 3 Michelin star restaurant in Paris and all of the chefs were wearing black armbands. They were holding back tears. They were moving through stations like they were in a fog. And I never thought that that would be the day that I learnt what true leadership was. Look, we've all been told stories about what it takes to lead in a high-pressure industry. You have to yell at people, you have to scream, you have to be ruthless. Kitchen Nightmares, Hell's Kitchen, the celebrity chef that's yelling at all of the terrified cooks, that's leadership, right? But the man with more Michelin stars than anyone else in history did the exact opposite. And this is the story of how he led. So if you're not too deep in the culinary world, you may not have heard of Joël Robuchon. If you are in the culinary world and you haven't heard of Robuchon, you may be having your mail forwarded to the underside of a rock for the better part of the last century. This man accumulated over 30 Michelin stars. To put that in perspective, most really good chefs dream of only having 1. I think Gordon Ramsay has 17 and Robuchon has 32. He's often called the chef of the century, and his influence on modern French cuisine is incalculable. When people talk about perfection in food, they talk about Robuchon. So when I was here in Paris in 2009, I had the opportunity to make a reservation at L'Atelier de Joël Robuchon, and I was excited. This was a bucket list moment. Later on that evening, I remember speaking to one of the staff members and saying that I was surprised that he was actually in the restaurant. And she remarked to me, "Oh no, he comes in all the time. We really love him. Not like him or respect him or fear him or enjoy his presence. We love him." Fast forward a few years and I was back in Paris making another reservation at L'Atelier. This time, I sat at the bar and was face to face with one of the chefs. I asked whether Robuchon had been in recently. The chef's eyes lit up immediately as soon as I said the guy's name. He told me that Robuchon had been in just the week before. He said that he strolls through the kitchen and he helps the chefs out with whatever they're doing. The chef said he's an extremely calming presence in the kitchen. He never yells, he never humiliates anybody. If he saw somebody doing something wrong, he wouldn't scream at them. He would lean in, slowly show them the technique once again, and then hand the knife back. This was the bit that really caught my attention. He handed the knife back. This chef's account of Robuchon was a revelation to me, because for the first time in a kitchen, I could see that Robuchon's leadership style was not about chastising or humiliating or yelling at people. It employed a sense of psychological safety. The thing that you've got to understand about Robuchon is he's what's referred to in the industry as a kingmaker. Countless chefs either were inspired by him or literally studied under him and then went on to do great things. And that is the essence of leadership. It's not you being the best of something, but being able to get the best out of those in your charge. The second thing that Robuchon was doing, I noticed, was he was leading from the sidelines. He was always available to people, but he never got in the way. They didn't fear him. They were imbued with the confidence that he would instill in them by being on the sidelines for guidance rather than them depending on him. So lesson 2 is be available but not overbearing. Your presence should feel like support rather than surveillance. Okay, so fast forward to August 2018. I have another reservation at L'Atelier. It's a Monday night, and I remember getting a text from a friend who said, "What are you up to this evening?" I told him I had a reservation at L'Atelier, and he texted me back saying, "Didn't you hear? Robuchon died today." I was completely blown away. It wasn't that he wasn't old, but I didn't expect him to die the day I had a reservation. When I walked into the restaurant that night, the atmosphere was completely different. It was quiet, somber. Everybody had felt the lack of his presence in the world, and every single chef was wearing a black armband. You could see it in their faces. They just lost not a boss, they'd lost somebody they loved. I spoke to one of the chefs. He said, "We all regarded him as a parental figure, somebody who would watch over us like a grandfather and support us in our careers and make us want to become better than we ever thought we could be." And that's when it hit me. He said, "Better than we thought we could be." The ultimate measure of leadership is legacy. And legacy isn't about what you build, it's about who you build. As I mentioned before, Robuchon was a kingmaker. He didn't just create Michelin star restaurants, he created Michelin star people. He authored people into greatness. He saw things in them that they didn't see in themselves. And he spent his career investing in them. And then when he died, the armbands and the tears and the feelings, that doesn't come from being feared. That comes from creating something extremely rare. A leader that people don't just respect, but love. So I think anytime somebody in your charge next makes a mistake, ask yourself the question, am I being the tyrant or am I being the grandfather? Are you ripping the knife from their hands and screaming at them? Or are you showing them the way and then slowly handing the knife back? Are you taking up all the space in the room, or are you giving them space to grow? Are you demanding excellence through fear or through belief? So the tyrant might get short-term results. People will do what you want if you yell at them, but they'll never give you their best. They'll never really want to exceed your expectations. They'll do just enough not to get yelled at. And when you're gone, they'll probably celebrate. But the grandfather builds people who carry lessons with them for the rest of their lives, who wear black armbands when they're gone, who say things like, "He made me better than I ever thought I could be." So in the end, real leadership isn't about how much space you take up in the room, but how much space you leave for others to grow. And that's all from me.